Hello again. It's Jonathan at the piano lesson. Hope you're all doing well. Today I thought I'm going to go over a oldie but a goodie, which I may have done once before, but I thought it would be good to do again. The tune "How High the Moon," which Charlie Parker used those chords to play the tune "Ornithology," with the same chords, different melody. But "How High the Moon" kind of made famous by Les Paul, the guy who invented the electric guitar, basically, and multi-track recording, Les Paul, who I grew up like a few towns over from him, and Mary Ford, who was his wife. But before, I'll just share with you what I'm doing right now, which is I'm having a nice cup of tea. More specifically, white tea, which I got from a very nice local Chinese herbal shop. I've been going to a Chinese herbalist, which is quite interesting, but I bought an enormous bag of white tea. So for those of you who don't know what white tea is, it's tea. But you've probably heard of black tea and red tea. There's such a thing, and those are, some people consider those to be, say, they're more processed, they're fermented, perhaps. But I always preferred white tea, and very nice, very subtle flavor, more antioxidants than the other teas, which are nice. And then I got this. This, for those of you who read German, and for those of you who don't read German, there's a little picture on the side. Those are rose hips, and that I love rose hips. Anything rose hips. For the short time I lived in Europe, I discovered rose hips in Scandinavia, rose hip soup and rose hip jam and rose hip this and rose hip that, which is a very good source of bioflavonoids and vitamin C, and it just tastes good. And so that's what I've been doing. And I did my usual kind of weekly jam session at Conway's House of Jazz out on 82nd Drive, for those of you who are in the area. And I'll be playing there, I believe, August 23rd, Saturday night, August 23rd. But I also chose this tune because I did happen to play it the other night, and I'll leave you a link to it from the recording that was done at the club, so you can kind of get an idea hearing me play it. But yeah, let's take a dive into this, and we'll use our music theory tools to kind of help us with the tune as well. But it's a very interesting tune. So, in general, I got to turn around here. In general, where's my new marker? We have oh my goodness, what happened there? We have, in general, three chords: G major, F major, and E flat. E flat major. Okay, and possibly G minor. G minor. So those are the four chords you kind of have to know: G major, F major, E flat major. And let's just say D, D, F sharp, A, and then we'll add one more: D7, C. Okay, so that's your D7, right? Those are the three chords: G, F, E flat, G minor, and then D7. Now, this song's in the key of G for the most part, but like a lot of jazz tunes, it modulates to the key of F, and then it modulates to the key of E flat, and then it modulates to the key of G minor, and then it goes back to the key of G major. It's very interesting. And it is a 32-bar tune. And of course, like most tunes, if it's in the key of G, the 5 chord is D7, regardless if it's in G minor or G major. You pretty much got to have a D7. Now, what's the difference? Well, usually the way you get to G in jazz, right? Usually it's not just 5-1, it's 2-5-1. So the two chord being A minor for the key of G major, and for the key of G minor, it's not, or let's just say A minor. We'll skip up one more note. A minor 7. A minor 7 is kind of what we want. But for the key of G minor, it's the two chord is A minor 7 flat 5. Why flat 5? Because the notes in the key of G minor are different than the notes of the key of G major. So it's not that, it's that. So there's two different kinds of 2-5-1s. There's this, that's G major, and then there's this, that one. Or it doesn't sound like it resolves real well, does it? But it's not meant to. But that's the key. The key of G major is 1 sharp. It's F sharp. Key of G is 1 sharp. It's F sharp. Key of G minor is 2 flats. It's B flat and E flat. And then and you know, just thinking, here's an easy way to remember the notes in the minor scale. But here's G major, 1 black key. So here's a little trick. If you want to know, there's 3 different kinds of minor scales. Remember, there's the natural minor with the F natural. There's the harmonic minor with the raised 7th, which is what we're really concerned about. And then there's the melodic minor, right, which you use in instances where we're creating ascending melodies. But in the case of melodic minor and harmonic minor, we still retain that F sharp from the major, what we call the parallel major. These are parallel keys, as opposed to relative. Like, what is the relative minor of G? Well, the key that uses the same notes basically is either up a 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right, or down a minor third. Either way, but it's E minor. That's the relative is E minor. Now, are we using E minor in this song? No, not really. Nope. It doesn't really go to the relative minor. This is kind of interesting about this tune. And it kind of goes down by whole steps. And that's almost like a Spanish cadence, you know. It almost sounds like flamenco. But it's not going to sound that way when we're playing jazz. Now, here's the melody. So what is that? Well, it's a major chord in his first inversion. If I take the G and move it up an octave. Here's second inversion if I take the B and move it up an octave, right? The melody is basically a G major chord, okay? But we're adding an extra note, this passing tone. And then, so that's major, minor, G minor, right? Then F, very similar. That's F major in second inversion with the step there, F minor. So you have major, minor, major, minor, and then E flat. So there's your E flat, second inversion, B flat, B natural. So the first time it goes to G minor, and it goes to G major. Now, and then it's a sort of a turnaround, B minor. And I don't just use a straight B minor, I usually use B minor 7. Now, typically when you see a minor chord, usually expect to see a dominant, and I'm just going to happen to use, I'm going to use a dominant. This is the 3 chord, the 6 chord E, 2 chord, right? That's kind of A minor. We have the A minor 11, let's say, okay? And then this is a D11, D7. But it's basically this. B, E, A, D, G. That's the bass. B, E, A, D, G. All right? So 3, 6, 2, 5, 1. Now, usually in fake books, you often don't see the E. You usually see the B flat. That's the tritone substitution for the E. So remember, anytime you see a dominant chord, you can replace it with another dominant chord 3 whole steps away, or B flat 7. Those actually, believe it or not, work. They work in kind of as a alternative to one another. So the melody is this: B flat 7, B flat D F A flat, B D F sharp A, B flat D F A flat, A minor 7, A C E G, D7, and then that repeats again, but the second time it's just major. And I'll play through it. And since the melody is E, I'm not going to play major 7. Why not? Well, because it'll sound kind of awkward if I do that. So anytime you have a melody that happens to be the tonic and you see a major 7 chord in a book, well, don't be so literal about it. Play a 6 chord instead. There's the 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's going to sound a lot better. And the way I voice it is I typically go root, 6th, 9th, here's the 5th, and the root. Now, again, you can do other things too. You could maybe potentially add the 3rd here. Or, gosh, I don't know. I mean, you could do all kinds of things. So here's how the tune. Now, 1, 2, 1. Turn around there. So I'm beating quarter notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Almost like a guitar player in the left hand. Now, our shell voicings, right? So you take the middle notes, bring them up here, right? There's your voicing, right? I put in some other chords that I didn't discuss, but they were 2 chords in the key. So when you're going to the key of F, right? How do you get to the key of F? You use the dominant chord, which is C, C7, and the 5 chord rather. Did I say 2? You use the 5 chord, which is the dominant, the C7, and then the 2. 2, 5, 1 to F, and then when you go to E flat, well, you use a 2, 5, 1 to get there. Up a 4th, down a 5th, F minor 7, B flat 7, E flat major 7. So the chords are this: G major 7, G minor 7, C7, F major 7, F minor 7, B flat 7, E flat major 7. Now here's where you go to the G minor. A minor 7 flat 5, D7, G minor 7. And then it does it again, but in the major key. A minor 7, D7, G major 7. B minor 7, B flat 7, that's a substitute for the E7. B minor 7, you could do E7 also. A minor 7, D7, and there's plenty of fake books, there's plenty of charts on the internet that you can dig up. The mistake people make, though, is that I see a lot of mistakes in the fake books where they have the minor 7 flat 5 before the major chord, and that's incorrect. So here's how it would sound with shell voicings. G major 7, G minor 7, C7, F major 7, F minor 7, B flat 7, E flat major 7, A minor 7 flat 5, D7, flat 9, G minor 7, A minor 7, D7, G major 7, A minor 7, D7, B minor 7, B flat, A minor 7, big reach, and here I played a flat 9 just because I like the sound of the color of it. 6-9, E7, A minor. So the song starts on a pickup, starts on count 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. That's a syncopation. I'll go back in a minute and talk about that. Two, three, four, 1 and 2 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Notice I'm just playing 2 notes in the left hand. Now watch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 1, 1, 2 and. That's the syncopation. 1, 2 and. So that's the tricky part. 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and. And it's written different ways in different books. Of course it is, because it's never easy, right? So there you have it. You have G major, 2-5-1 to F, 2-5-1 to E flat, 2-5 to G minor, 2-5 to G major, and then you have your 1-6-2-5. That's a lot, and that's all 32 bars. The form is 16 plus 16 really. It's called binary form. It's an A prime form. And this kind of goes with one of my exercises. So if you take your major scales, typically we don't practice major scales in whole steps. But you know, jazz moves in whole steps. So that went through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 keys, right? And there's 6 more to do. So you do the other 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 keys. But what I like to do is practice the 2-5-1 with the major scale, so it sounds like this. I'm going to do it a little bit higher on the piano so you can hear it better. All right, and then key of F, G minor 7, C7, F major 7. Then key of E flat, we play F minor 7, the 2 chord. Now that's basically How High the Moon right there. But then we'll keep going. Key of B. Key of A. And now we're back to G. All right, so 4 notes. Cross the thumb under. Now the 4 notes. And then back down. All right. Once you get good at that, then you can take the scale and do a mode of that scale. Let's say start on the 5th, a Mixolydian mode. So, and I'm playing the notes of the G major scale, just starting on the 5th degree, starting on D. Mixolydian mode can be thought of as having a flat 7. There's the flat 7, all still. And you don't have to do just steps. You could do thirds. Or you could go down. Just something to kind of give you some variety when you're practicing the scales, kind of break it up a little bit. Okay, now if you're playing in a band, well then, I'm not going to be playing real low, probably. I mean, in general, I don't adhere to this completely. But these are rootless voicings. So what am I doing here? I'm playing the G major 7 chord, but I'm not playing the root or the 3rd or the 5th down here. I'm building it on the 7th. Right? Here's the 3rd, here's the 5th, and here's an extra note, the 9th. So 2, 5, 1. We talked about that. I have that on my website, but those are what I call close position rootless voicings. There are variations that start on the 7th of the chord, and then the ones that start on the 3rd of the chord. Here's here we're starting on. I'm doing 2-5-1, A minor 7 with an added 9th, D7 with a 9th and a 13th, and A minor 7 with an added 9th. So that's one variation. This is the other variation. Okay, and how do I know which one to use? Well, it depends on where I am on the keyboard. That's a pretty important point about playing piano. You always have to be mindful of what register you're in. You know, if I play the chords down here, I mean, that's just barely intelligible now. I mean, that really doesn't work. That's just way too muddy, right? If I play it up here, those chords don't sound bad. The melody's getting a little high. People play melodies high all the time. But here you can have your cake and eat it. If you use these voicings, these shell voicings, right? They kind of open things up. Right? And there's two kinds of shell voicings. There's ones that start on the 7th, and there's ones that start on the 3rd. What were we doing here? Let's see this. The 7th, right? And then there's ones, there's ones that start with a 7th, not on the 7th, right? And you can see here's the third in the left hand. Well, I could start with a third in the left hand. I could do this. That's the same thing, and I have those on my website as well. But root third, seventh, root third, seventh, ninth, root seventh, third, 13, root third, seventh, ninth. That's one way to do it. But that's kind of high, right? And if I do that down here, well, that's really too low. But I much prefer this voicing: root seventh, third, fifth. And that just sounds a lot better to my ears. Now, here's an interesting trick. Instead of landing right on the G, right? You could play what's called a minor major 7. So you could do, or that's an interesting thing to do. Anyway, kind of running out of time here, but hope that was fun for you, and I'll try to put a link below to my Conway's House of Jazz performance where I'm playing this tune, and you can get an idea. Playing with a real good bass player that night and good drummer. Anyway, I hope you guys have continue to have a great summer, and I will see you next time. And thank you again for all your posts and comments, and apologies if I'm not always as responsive as I should be, but it's not you, it's me. So we'll talk to you soon. And it's Jonathan, the Piano Lesson, signing off. Bye-bye.